Dude, what's up, brother?
How's it going? Long time,
Di-
man.
Good, good. I'm digging the hat.
I know, professional, right?
Dude, I'm digging this Condor logo behind you, man.
Oh man, yeah.
Oh,
Set it
sick.
up right after you left.
Man, so I know Groove is quite an amazing accomplishment and whatnot, but every time I do something, I can always count on you to one-up me somehow. And this is it right here. Like, I thought I had a cool background. You've got Condor Entertainment in the background. It's too rad.
Oh man. Sorry, my fat head was trying to block it a little bit, just
Nah, dude, it's good, man. I always try to tag Condor too whenever we tag you. So,
always
dope,
great.
man. So you can hear me just well.
Yeah, man. Perfect.
Cool, perfect, dude. I'll hop right into it. Once this got planes passing overhead right now. Whatever, we'll just go with it. We'll do it live. What's up, everybody? I'm John Avila. I work with Sound the Groove. As a lot of you guys know, we book shows all across the country, although concerts aren't really a thing right now. So we're kind of taking this opportunity to introduce you to some of the phenomenal people that we work with. What's up, Risk It All? We're going to be interviewing you on Friday. I see you guys. This is Brandon Perez, and this is the person I want to introduce you guys to today. Brandon is a phenomenal human being. He's actually one of our production managers that hosts the Sound the Groove events in Los Angeles, in Orange County. Just amazing human being. And he also runs his own events as well called Condor Entertainment. Brandon, how you doing today?
Good. How are you guys all doing out there?
Doing all right, man. I mean, Vegas is yesterday. It was like nearly 100 degrees, and right now it's maybe like 70.
We just settled around the 70, 80 mark here in Orange, California, too. So.
Right on, man. Cool, cool. Well, sweet, man. So, yeah, how have you, I mean, obviously it's going to be an interview, but I also consider you my friend, so it's going to be us legitimately catching up. How you doing, man?
Dude, doing well, just living each day, working, trying to make sure bands are taken care of, trying to make sure, it all plays out well on everybody else's end. It's kind of weird in this whole world because everybody is stuck on quarantine and isn't able to leave their house. But where I work, we actually create masks and more for like the city and the state. We've been donating thousands of masks to like the city of Orange just to get, people out there trying to, help everybody out. But at the same time, we do a bunch of like fulfillment and a lot of order printing for screen printing and embroidery for bands who are on the road. So kind of like when this all hit, it was super weird and like unreal because everything that I had just been shipped out for brand new tours for, you can name like any artist, and we were doing something for them. And everything just came back immediately. We'd ship things over to Canada, to New York, over in Philadelphia, and just hundreds of boxes started coming back and it hit really hard because, we work in the music industry, but at the same time, when I was on the road, I did merchandising. I knew that was the livelihood of a lot of bands, especially to be on the road where guarantees are very small, if anything. So to see that everything that these bands work for just to be crushed to come back to us, it's very painful to see. But at the same time, there's been a whole switch in like the music industry because now more than ever, people are supporting artists by purchasing, their CDs, their merchandise, doing whatever they can to help out artists. And it's great to see because now those artists are also churning to help their touring crew that, a touring crew is completely funded by the band when they're on tour. So,
Right.
When there's nothing there, then there's no work, there's no income for those guys. So a lot of artists are now doing, they're printing the tour crew shirts that they give to their people. And, all the profits from that are going to their crew member. And it's incredible to see that, even musicians who are struggling in such a world where there's no no tours, a main source of income coming in, but they're still helping those who are closest to them and their friends and their family. And with us as well, we hired those who are local here to Orange County. I've been trying to give them jobs and supply them a little bit of income while they're home because, right now, nothing's set in stone. We don't know when things are going to come back, and it's kind of, a weird pit but for them to, have a little bit generating and then a little bit of people helping each other, it's kind of, you know, I'm more grateful than anything to make sure that those people are taken care of, because they don't have anything else, you know? They didn't have like jobs or anything. So when I saw they were home, like, yo, dude, like, I can't offer a lot, but, you know, 2-3 days home from tour, I can, you know, I can give you work. So
For sure. Yeah, the entertainment industry's been just decimated by this. You know, I think of, I mean, all the musicians, all the stage managers, photographers, even just Groove alone. Like, I mean, you know, everybody in Seattle, New York, Vegas, you know, back home where you're at in LA and all the way down to San Diego, just everything was just wiped out, you know. And I think of a lot of just small businesses that had 1099 workers, you know, a lot of people that just don't have anywhere to go to. It's not like they worked for, you know, it's really sad. So it's what I'm happy to see though is a lot of people are rising up and supporting their small businesses. They're supporting like artists. Seeing a lot of artists come up, you know, with their like live streaming performances, which is good. Whenever we do them, sometimes in these interviews, we'll have the artists like, you know, do like an acoustic set at the end. We'll have them like put their Venmo so people can like tip them and whatnot. Now more than ever, it's just really a really good time to like come together and just support, you know, just artists really, you know.
yeah.
So yeah, no, it's I did want to ask you, so wait, the company that you work for, you guys are printing out a lot of masks and right now, but you guys do merchandise all across the board, right? Like you do hats, you do sweaters, stuff like that.
You name it, we pretty much produce it. We've been doing everything right now, from masks to Letterman jackets to anything that's, you know, can help an artist. You got a little fire hydrant back there.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, anything that artists need, you know, we've been supplying. So a lot of locals have actually come out too and are saying like, hey, I need some hats, you know. I lost my job. I'm trying to get, you know, a little bit of income for the band and to support others. So I'm like, yo, dude, yo, just let me know, and then I'll shoot you guys a quote. I'll give you the cheapest price possible, just because in a world right now, I'm trying to help as many people as possible, while others, you know, are doing the same and trying to help as where they can, you know. So
Right on. Absolutely, man. Well, dude, so for everybody who's kind of starting to chime in, again, this is Brandon Perez, phenomenal person that Groove International works with. He manages a lot of our events, and we trust him with a lot of our events because he treats musicians phenomenally well. He actually has his own company, Condor Entertainment, which, you know, does their own events, and it's just, you know, it's in an industry where we don't meet many bookers, or well, we both have talked about this before. We don't meet many people that take good care of their artists. That's why Groove loves you, is because that's what Groove was kind of like founded on, which was like basically we saw this scene where promoters were just like the worst to deal with, and Groove wanted to be the opposite of that stereotype. And then I stumbled across you actually on my birthday. That was the first time we worked together. And Brandon, just so everybody knows, is just phenomenal. Like he like runs a tight ship, keeps on schedule, but all the musicians feel loved. Just phenomenal human being. I did want to ask you, man, like what made you want to like just get involved with the music scene? Like what would you say was like your calling to jump into this?
it's crazy. As crazy as it sounds, it's always that first concert. You know, for a lot of people, it's that first event. I always liked music. You know, my mom bought me my first iPod when I was in like 6th grade. Listened to like the Killers and stuff like that. Whatever was on K-Rock, but that was my only, you know, income of music. You know, like I didn't get a broad widening of, you know, anything else besides what my brother played or what my mom played. So when my cousins invited me to go with them to my very first band's Warped Tour. It was in 2007, and the anticipation of waiting in line to just finally see what it was all about. You know, I've seen it in Guitar Hero, I've seen it in music videos, I've seen the videos that my older brother had shown me, but I never got to actually be at the barricade, you know, waiting to see my favorite band. And you know, just walking in and seeing Poison the Well, Killswitch Engage, Sum 41, Fishbone, just like a wide variety. It hit so hard that I was like, this is something that I want to do and I'm going to have a future in. And I had actually looked at my cousin and told him, I'm going to be on this tour one day. And 10 years later, I did the entire tour. So
Sick.
you know, it's pretty cool to actually fulfill your like childhood dream on that, you know? So
Hell yeah. Yeah, I think when Groove expanded into New York, wasn't it the same year you happened to be on Warped Tour just passing through, I think? Or
yeah, I
just
was
before or something?
it was right at the end of no, it was the beginning of 2018. I was on tour with Fire from the Gods and Of Mice and Men, and we
Rad.
had and they had like a hometown show because AJ the vocalist was from New York, and then we had a show in was it Brooklyn? I think it was Brooklyn, and it was at the Kingsland, and I
Oh
heard
yeah.
a guy talking about this crazy, you know, idea of a promoter had that he had like a different type of artists, and he had like dancers and there was photographers and everything. I'm like, hey man, one of the companies I actually like work with just expanded out here. Do you happen to be talking about Sound the Groove? He's all like, yeah, are you John? I'm like, no, like I'm not John. Like I know John from back home. He's a great guy, but you know, that's
Oh,
just
that's
crazy
funny.
for the stage managers. So, you know,
That's funny.
it just, and then they contact me after and they're like, hey, we just played, and by far one of the greatest like experiences they had ever had, because you know, especially in New York where they get touring musicians all the time, sometimes the locals kind of felt like they're pushed off to the side, you know, and they're trying to rush throughout the night. And that's, you know, obviously working with, you know, for you and everything, that's not what Sound the Groove is about. It's all about, you know, trying to make sure every musician is taken care of as they are the headliner, because they are, you know, people are there to see them and to make sure that their music is heard and their voice is heard. It's just, you know, that's our job, to make sure that everyone is taken care of. So,
dude, absolutely. Yeah, I think it would Groove. I mean, we want to throw like the best night possible. I mean, and we do want to raise the bar on how musicians are treated, because I mean, we all know how nightmarish it is to deal with, you know, promoters in the scene. So the idea is to, you know, raise that bar. And yeah, actually, I remember you telling me about that. Yeah, that you bumped into an artist that Groove's outreach has become pretty ridiculous. I actually bumped into an artist at House of Blues Anaheim who actually like met us in New York. And I guess he just never saw my face before. And he was just like, oh my God, like I got hit up by this guy. And I'm like, oh, hey, like that's us. Like, but yeah, it's pretty cool. But actually that kind of, I did want to ask you, like, how has it been like, because we both share a very similar vision. So again, people joining in, Brandon works with Sound the Groove, phenomenal person, but he also has Condor Entertainment, so he also throws his own events, and he's really good at it. So we have a similar vision to treat musicians, you know, just way better than they have been, like raise the status quo or raise the bar. And I did want to ask you how it's been like working with Groove.
So since the beginning, I've always told like my friends and musicians that I work with that Sound the Groove is definitely something that's never really existed, you know? There's never been that promoter that's so just out there to, you know, make sure that musicians are taken care of, and to cover all bases with a photographer, to make sure that there's talent in the middle, to make sure that people stay, you know, and to make sure that there's a clean transition in between each artist, even from starting with acoustic to rock bands to a hip hop act at the end of the night, which no one does, which I don't know why. It baffles me, because everyone just has such a wide variety of taste in music that it makes sense to just, we'll start off like this, then, you know, we go into heavier stuff, and at the end of the night, we're all dancing together, you know? So, by
For sure,
Groove raises the bar on so many levels that more promoters need to take note of how to treat their musicians. Because a lot of times, a lot of artists that I've been on tour with, you know, they show up and there's a promoter that's like, hey, cash, and then you never see them again. And then the venue ends up not caring about the musicians because they already got paid. So they're not there to take care of anyone. It's, hey, get on stage. You're just like, okay, we have 15 minutes to set up. Why are we getting a 15-minute set now? Because venues and most promoters don't care. They only look out for themselves. And that's not what you do because of where you came from, you know? So you know how it's like to be on the back end of that and not be appreciated. So,
for sure. Yeah, I think my probably my favorite thing about, there's a lot of things I like about Groove, and most importantly, probably just all the amazing people we work with, yourself included. But I would say one of my favorite things just running the events is like we meet the bands during load-in. We show you where to go. We do this team huddle 30 minutes before doors, and you've been kicking ass at this. But we'll do this like meeting, and in that meeting, like we like team huddle. We introduce the bands to each other. We introduce you to your sound tech, your lighting tech, your photographer that's going to follow you around all night. I remember this one venue actually in North Hollywood. We actually had a hot buffet waiting backstage for the bands. Now this doesn't happen at every show. I don't want to like like tell people, like have people expect that. But we had like a hot buffet waiting backstage for the bands, and bands, like, unfortunately, because of the way promoters treat them, they're like their mind is blown if they even see drink tickets, you know. So to have like, you know, a guy meet them or a guy or girl meet them and just do this team huddle and introduce them to all the people working for them, and you know, so I really dig the way Groove has kind of not to overuse the term, but just raised the bar. And it's people like you. You know, not to pep talk you too much, but it's specifically people like you, Casimir in New York, Jason in San Diego, like us, you know, raising that bar. Like the people that work for Groove are really kind of what makes it. Anyway, I'm rambling, my bad. I did want to ask you kind of a fun question I've been asking everybody. What would you say, and it could be Groove or not Groove, either way, what would you say is the weirdest thing that you've ever had to deal with at a show?
Oh, man. The weirdest thing?
Yeah.
I mean, I had a table, like a chick flip my table in Belvedere, Illinois once, but I don't think that was the weirdest thing. I think some of the weirdest things is like when people think I'm in a band, even though I'm kind of just selling merch, or, you know, back in the day, I had long hair, and people thought I was Vic Fuentes from Pierce the Veil. I'm like, they'd be like, oh my God, Vic, and these girls would come up to me, you know, just like in tears. I'm like, and they're like, can I get a photo with you? I'm like, sure, you know. And then just, you know, I don't want to shatter their world or anything, but a lot of times, you know, I've worked with alternative press and I've worked with a bunch of different, you know, record labels. So when we have these bands doing signings, I'm just kind of off to the side, just moving the line along. But then they think I'm in the band. I'm like, no, hold up. These guys are from Europe. I am clearly not from Europe. Like,
Right.
Like I'm sweating. I have like the logo on me. Just relax. Just keep moving. I think that's like the weirdest, because people just they'll like fans, they'll just see someone, they'll just like get starstruck and think that you're that person. But I have told somebody I was not that person, and they were so like hurt. And it was such a young girl. It was a little, like, I believe she was like 12 years old, and she thought I was Vic, and I told her no, and immediately I just saw her whole world just shatter, because her dad told me that she had walked by earlier because I was doing Warped in San Diego, and just happened to think that I was at the table. So I'm like, no, like, I'm sorry, I'm not that person. So
makes sense.
Yeah.
I would say, and just again, this is also catching up with a friend, so just sharing a story with you. We had a bomb threat at House of Blues San Diego. In our show. So we were throwing a show for Stitched Up Heart, Mixie from Stitched Up Heart, and just like during, I think it was just as her final song was just getting wrapped up, one of the main people at House of Blues San Diego walked up to me and he's like, hey, I don't want to alarm you, but there's a bomb threat in the building. We need to get everybody out right now. He's like, it's probably nothing, you know, but you know, we need to get everybody out. And flash forward, just so everybody listening knows, it turned out to be nothing. There was a prom next door, and some punk high school kid decided it would be funny to call in a bomb. So everybody was fine. But I remember I walked up to Mixie, and I was just like, she finished her last song, she gets off stage, and I'm like, hey, dude, don't freak out, but there's a bomb threat in the building right now. I need you to help me kind of get everybody out. And she just, like, grabs the person next to her, like, locks arms and just beelines out the door before I could finish saying, hey, I need your help getting everybody out. And she looks back and she's like, oh, my God, I'm so sorry. I just heard one thing in Darwinism and I just left the building. Yeah. But, yeah, so we obviously got everybody out. Everybody was fine. It turned out to be an unfortunate prank call. But yeah, that'd probably be the one. That'd be in my top three. Another one is somebody gave birth in the doorway at another House of Blues, San Diego. San Diego's kind of weird, man. You'd think it was Vegas, but it's San Diego.
Oh, man.
Anyway, I'm just sharing with you. You and I could probably talk about a bunch of stories over a beer the next time we hang out. So cliche question for the times right now, but what's the first thing you're going to do once everything kind of returns to a state of normalcy and we can all go out again?
So back to normalcy. I think the first thing I'm gonna do is once shows are back, then I will feel it's normal because I work events every weekend. I work events with you. I work events, on my own, and then I work festivals and tours. But being at home, it's like I've had to figure out other stuff, and I got tired of feeding, Gus, treats because Gus doesn't even like the treats I give him anymore. He's had too many.
For everybody watching, Gus is Brandon's cat, by the way, who is the most amazing cat in the world.
kept you a lot of company. but yeah, I think the first thing I'm gonna do once that returns to normal is just make sure to catch some good locals and hear them out and hear what they've had to write throughout this time, because right now everyone's had time to think and create and let themselves become their music. So I think this is a good thing that kind of happened on the back end. Obviously this whole coronavirus is, shitty, but for musicians to kind of have that time where, they get to self-reflect and think about what they really want people to hear, I think that's going to be amazing the second we get to hear them on stage in a microphone.
Absolutely. And I think too, of course, big stadiums and big, massive concerts like Aerosmith and AC/DC, like those won't be around for a while. But one thing that does happen in times of crisis, or in times of, like, when people want to celebrate, they drink. When people, are sad, they drink. Unfortunately, alcohol is one of the recession-proof things. So once we can go back out again, though we may not be able to see these massive concerts, these smaller bars where you can commonly find local bands are going to be among the first to, once we enter that phase, they're going to be among the first things that you can do. And I mean, we both probably share the same sentiment. I encourage everybody to go to those bars and, support those musicians once it's safe to do so. And you will find, I strongly believe, you'll never find more hunger and ambition and passion than you will in people that are pursuing their dreams. Because all these musicians, that's what they're doing. They're pursuing this idea that could be considered outrageous, that they're going to go do, this dream. Pursuing your dreams is the most incredible thing that you can do, and all of these musicians are doing it. So once we can go back out, I agree. It's a beer and it's a bar. I don't care if the stage is 2 inches off the ground. I want to see somebody rocking out on it because I miss it.
Especially right now with, all the venues, right now it's just been such a big standstill that even for a full-time touring musician to return back to normal, that's going to take some time. The first thing that's going to happen is once venues are open, they're going to need their locals more than ever to fulfill that stage and get their word out. So once everything comes back, we can get those guys on the road and help them fulfill their dreams to the next level. Absolutely, man.
Dude, I'm so stoked that I kind of hit you up last minute about this. I probably gave you 2 days notice. But I'm so glad that you're with me. Is there anything that you wanted to kind of promote or announce while we're here today?
Just support each other, support your locals, and support musicians in a whole, and support, all local businesses, because right now it's a fight for everyone's life. And, it's not, I don't have one specific company to promote because we need everybody to support everybody. And
absolutely.
That's it.
I agree entirely, man. Dude, small businesses are everybody's impacted by this, and obviously it's very terrible. But I know that small businesses are being decimated by this, and artists are commonly also, they fall into that 1099 field. So artists are definitely being impacted by this. So if anybody, if I had advice for anybody, is definitely check on your local bars that aren't owned by big corporations. Unfortunately, the Federal Bar in Long Beach just closed down. It's one of them. But even smaller businesses than that are, also at risk. And, musicians, so definitely check out their live streams, support and tip. Heck, we'd be out drinking at bars and tipping our bartenders anyway. All that money that we can't spend there, go support a live stream of a musician and find out what their Venmo is and tip them. Buy some merch, whatever it may be. But you're absolutely right. Right now is kind of the fight that everybody's got going on, and we definitely need to support them. So Dude, you rock. So everybody, what we're gonna do is we're gonna keep this on our Instagram Live for the next 24 hours. It's gonna be on our IGTV, and it's also gonna be on our YouTube indefinitely. So once again, this is Brandon Perez of Groove International. He's also of Condor Entertainment. He hosts his own events. He hosts Groove International's events. As you could tell, he's a beautiful human being, and that's why we leave him in charge of a lot of our shows that we do in Los Angeles, all over Orange County. And when things come back to normal, we're going to bring you out here in Vegas, and we're going to have a shot and a beer, and we're going to run a couple. Well, we had a couple shows planned out here, and we're going to rebook them, and we're going to bring your ass out here.
Can't wait.
Awesome. Dude, tell Melissa I said hi. Tell Gus that I miss him. And, dude, thank you so much for being a part of today and being a part of this whole thing, man. I appreciate you.
Of course, man. Love to be here.
Absolutely, brother. Have a good night.
You too, man. Peace.
Bye.